I loved you so much, and you were cheating on me? All those promises, they were nothing but lies. Edward, you need to leave. And you, how could you betray me like this? You were my friend. What betrayal? Whatever you are today is because of me and my family. What were you? A nobody, nothing. And you call him your friend? If we didn't have pity on you, you would be on the streets. It's because of us that you could even call a man like Harold your friend. Hearing his wife's words, Edward fell silent. There was nothing he could say to her, because it was true. She's right. Whatever I've become today, it's because of her and her family. Edward Doyle had seen many ups and downs in his life. He belonged to a prestigious, reputed family. However, being affected by the 1929 Great Depression of UK, his family went through many economic troubles. After completing his studies in Birmingham, Edward began searching for a job, traveling from town to town. But not only did no one want to employ him, seeing his situation, no one even wanted to rent him a place to stay. It was one of these struggling days that Edward stopped at a small lodge in the town of Nottinghamshire. How much will it be for 1 month's stay? £80. Edward opened his wallet and took out the last of his notes. It didn't even amount to half the payment. You don't even have money for a month's advance. How will you give the rent? Please, give me a chance. I'm new here and no one knows me, so I couldn't bring any recommendation, but I'm hoping I'll get a job soon and I'll manage. This lodge belonged to the Bennett sisters, Marjorie and Charlotte. After the demise of her husband, Marjorie took the small house that she inherited from her parents and turned it into this lodge, which she ran with her younger sister Charlotte. Edward was relieved when Marjorie allowed him to stay, but he truly hoped he would land the job soon. It was early the following morning. Edward hurried out for his interview when suddenly Charlotte came to him. Are you going to your interview? Yes. Well, if you wear that coat, I'm sure you won't get the job. And if you don't get the job, you won't be able to pay the rent, and my sister will kick you out. A bit embarrassed, Edward looked at his coat. It was his only coat, but it had gotten torn on the side. Charlotte handed him the coat she brought. I requested my sister and got you this. You can use it till you get a new one. Thank you. That day, he landed the job. However, with the salary he made, he spent it all on transport and paying off the rent, and he was left without a single penny to spend on food or clothes. It was one night, while he was in his room trying to sleep through the hunger, he suddenly heard a knock on the door. I thought you would be up. You didn't eat anything, did you? Not really. I got you some soup and bread. It's on the house, so don't worry about it. Just don't let my sister know, okay? With that, Charlotte placed the tray on his table and rushed out the room. It was over the days that Charlotte often secretly visited Edward and brought him food, sometimes late at night, and sometimes early in the morning right before Edward would leave for work. Hurry, take this. Boiled eggs, tea and biscuits. Are you sure you should be visiting me, bringing me breakfast every morning? I told you, it's on the house, as long as you don't tell. Sure. It was through these frequent meetings that Edward and Charlotte became close and soon started to have a secret affair. And down the line, got married. But now, remembering those old memories only enraged Edward. "This knife, she gave this to me." It was one night on his way back from work. Edward had gotten into some trouble. Fortunately, he was able to escape the muggers, but had torn the coat Charlotte had given him. He returned to the lodge a bit later than usual, wishing no one would see him, but he found Marjorie in the lobby. "What happened to you? You're in this condition?" "Sorry, the coat got torn. I'll have it repaired before I return it." Edward breathed out in relief when Marjorie didn't say anything, but it was some time later that Charlotte came knocking on his door. "Look at you, how did this happen?" "I got a bit late leaving work, and these men started following me." Charlotte took out a pocket knife wrapped in her handkerchief. "You need protection when you're coming back late in this neighborhood. You can use this to scare off those kind of people." "You carry a knife?" "Yes, you don't know what I'm capable of." Edward stared at the pocket knife. "Really, I didn't know what you were capable of. But I'll take my revenge." It was around 1 a.m. on that rainy night. That officers at the BI Island yard was quite concerned when they received a letter. "Sir, someone has dropped off a letter confessing their crime." Written neatly on a piece of paper, in an envelope labeled with Edward Doyle's signature, was a disturbing message. "I took my revenge. I slit the throats of my wife, Charlotte Bennett, and her lover, Harold Griffith." Immediately, the BI Island yard sent officers in search of the two and went to Harold Griffith's house. But strange as it was answered by none other than Charlotte and Harold. "Is everything all right here?" "Yes, officer. Is there a problem?" "Had this been some sort of prank?" "Is this your husband's handwriting?" Seeing the note, Charlotte was a bit frightened. "Yes, this is his handwriting. He came here earlier this night, around 9. He misbehaved with me and tried to attack Harold, but then he left. Maybe he dropped off this letter and then came here planning to take our lives." "No, that's not possible. If that was so, he would have dropped it off about 4 or 5 hours ago. But we got this letter half an hour ago." To investigate the matter, the officers went to Edward's house. However, no one answered the door. When the officers broke it down, the house seemed awfully quiet. It wasn't until they entered Edward's bedroom that they found him sitting in a rocking chair with his throat slit open. The house was locked from inside. It seems he took his own life. But from the condition of his body, it seems he died a few hours back. But if he was dead, and if the house was locked from inside, who could give the letter, and that too in his handwriting? His spirit? You think he returned for revenge? Or more logically, it could have also been his wife and her lover. They killed him, and his wife wrote the letter. Unable to find any evidence at the scene, the BI Island yard came to the conclusion that Edward Doyle had taken his own life when he discovered the infidelity of his wife and closed the case. With Edward's demise, Charlotte and Harold soon became busy in preparing for their marriage. "Charlotte, the machinery at the store got damaged. It will cost a lot to replace it. Perhaps we might have to delay the wedding." "Don't worry, Harold. We'll save up, and when we're back on our feet again, we'll have a small party." Charlotte and Harold were trying to make the best out of their lives, even through all the obstacles. But it would be long before they could manage that kind of money. But it was one of those nights, while the couple were sitting by the fireplace, that they were surprised by a knock on their door. Harold hurried to open to find a small sack and a note left on his porch. "Charlotte, this is money. Who is it from? What does the note say?" "I'll slit your throat at the happiest moment of your life." This is Edward's handwriting. "It can't be him, he's dead. But who gave us the money? Whoever it is, we needed this money and now we have it." Soon after, Harold and Charlotte made the repairs on their store and used the rest of the money in getting married at court and arranging a small wedding at their home, to which they invited their friends and family. As for Charlotte, the only family she knew of was her sister, and that evening, when Charlotte saw her arrive, she was overjoyed. "Marjorie, finally you came. I missed you so much. After Mom and Dad passed away, it's only been you who took care of me. Aren't you going to be part of this? Are you still angry with me? I'm happy for you, Charlotte." And so, the newly married couple celebrated the beginning of their new life together, surrounded by loved ones. It was late that night. Charlotte sat down with all the gifts she had gotten and opened them one by one, until she stopped at a card. The smile on her face faded away when she saw what was written inside, in the same haunting handwriting. "I told you so." It's him. Who? Edward. Charlotte, it could be from anyone. But just as Harold was to take a good look at the card, they heard a knock on their door. Once more, the Bee Island yard got another letter informing them of the death of Harold and Charlotte Griffith. Though skeptic, the officers were obliged to check on the couple. But this time, when they reached the Griffith house, no one answered the door. And sure enough, when they broke in, they found the couple stained in red on the floor with their throats slit open. There was no explanation to how or what happened, apart from the only evidence of the crime scene. Another note. "I told you so." Marjorie Bennett had gotten married at a very young age and had been widowed at a very young age. After her husband's demise, she lived a lonely life running this lodge. But it was when she met Edward. She related to him and she liked him. She realized he was from a good family, but he was struggling through all the difficulties, so she allowed him to stay. But Marjorie had always maintained a strict attitude. As being a widow and an orphan, people tried to take advantage of her helplessness. While Edward was staying at the lodge, she looked out for him. It was Marjorie who had sent Charlotte that morning with her husband's coat when she noticed Edward leaving in his torn one. "Go and take this to him." "Why me? Go do it yourself. I don't want to go." "Look, Charlotte, he's staying at this lodge like this. If he realizes I'm helping him out, he'll slack on paying the rent. But if he goes like that, he won't get the job either. So go give this to him and tell him if he doesn't pay the rent, I'll kick him out." So Charlotte did as she was told. In the following days, it was Marjorie who had sent Charlotte to give him food. "Hurry, the tea is getting cold. And Charlotte, make sure he doesn't find out it's me." But that night, when Edward was late returning home, Marjorie was worried. She waited the entire time for him. And when she saw his condition, she felt all the more concerned. "Go and give this knife to him, and tell him he needs protection if he's coming home late in this neighborhood. He can use it to scare those people off." As the days soon turned to months, Edward's situation improved, and he made good connections with people in town. It was during this time that he met Harold, who owned a store in the marketplace. With him, Edward progressed in opening his own business, and Harold became a close friend. But it wasn't only Harold who had become close to him, but Charlotte as well. When Marjorie found out about Charlotte and Edward's relationship, she was hurt, but she remained silent. She sacrificed her love and married them so that they could be happy together. But on that rainy night, while she was at the lodge, one of the young men who worked for Harold dropped by and told her about what happened. Mrs. Doyle was at his house. When Mr. Doyle came in, I heard them yelling. Mr. Doyle accused Mrs. Doyle of cheating on him with Mr. Griffith. Marjorie was enraged when she found out what her sister had done. How could she betray him like this? She had the most loving husband, the perfect life, and she ruined it. Marjorie hurried out to visit Edward and perhaps console him. And deep down inside, she thought, if not with Charlotte, maybe he could start a new life with her. But when she reached Edward's house, he wouldn't open the door. So with the extra key she had, she went inside. But she was too late. Edward had taken his own life. "I did everything to make you happy, but you betrayed me. I can't live like this anymore. Goodbye, world." Heartbroken and enraged, she had always been able to replicate handwriting. So she replicated Edward's handwriting and dropped off the letter to the Bee Island yard and kept the knife she had given to Edward herself. She was the one who had assisted Charlotte in her time of need, giving her the money, waiting for the day Charlotte would be at her happiest moment. And on the night of her wedding, Marjorie had gone to visit her. "Marjorie, did you forget something?" "Yes, your gift." In the stillness of the night, Marjorie entered their home and locked the door behind her before she approached them with a smile, slitting Harold's throat when he was least expecting it. "Marjorie, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to us?" "I did everything for you. I brought you up. I sacrificed my love for you. Edward did everything to make you happy. But you didn't appreciate his love. You didn't even care for our family's respect. For what? So you could be happy? For your happiness? You ruined so many lives? You don't deserve to live." Edward, I took your revenge.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.